Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Commander reporting here for duty, and it is now time to begin this weekend's Skytear filled excitement. Today we are bringing you the September Clash playoffs, Zaraghul versus Tofone in the European September Clash playoffs. And of course we do realize that while this may be October, we are wrapping up the playoffs after 4 rounds of fierce competition. Before the start of this stream, we did go ahead and flip the coin. Tofone won the toss and has decided to go second. So Zaraghul will draft first. Zaraghul is bringing a mono green squad, whereas Tofone is bringing the 6 red-yellow heroes. Miyuki, Kichi, Shafathi, Habarat, Yami, and Shafathi. Excuse me, Sathero. I said Shafathi twice. Our objectives for this game are going to be Tactician, win the lead control of a token 6 times, and Skytear, defeat 2 enemy heroes using the Outsider, and we do have excellent Outsiders to do so. Zaraghul is bringing the Silent Ambassador, and Tofone bringing Terror of the Endless Night. So getting right into the draft, we did see Tilakali selected first, followed by Yami and Habarat for Tofone, Zaraghul following that up with Zaraghul, and now waiting on his second choice here, which will turn out to be Nelaklin. All right, I like to see it. We are looking for extreme violence right off the bat. I am a huge fan of this. Zaraghul's reserve hero is going to be not brought on the board, apparently. All right, in the meantime, we're going to see Sathero brought on board here as well. And then we will see, it looks like potentially Kichi is looking at to be designated as the reserve. So the big problem with the red-yellow squad is that you have 3 mages. Even though Shafathi does have a little bit of durability in him, he is particularly squishy. Still as a mage, 18 hit points, 0 armor overall, which does mean that if Nelaklin gets going with a Rampant Hatred, or if Zaraghul decides to get up into their faces and start slamming them around, they're going to die very quickly. Okay, so it looks like Shafathi is going to be the reserve hero here for Tofone. Also, as I am by myself today, if there are any audio concerns, I can't really throw the mic over to my co-caster to hold down the fort while I check audio levels. It looks good to me, but if we need to adjust up or down, please do let me know, and I will be happy to do so. So we're going to go ahead and get into the game now, bringing the decks together. I'm going to use this and figure out who exactly the third player was. It looks, or the fourth hero, it does look to be Ishitask will be the reserve hero for Zaraghul. We're going to go ahead and clean up the game. We'll zoom into the board now and hope that we can catch all of the cards being played with the pop-up that Tapeworm has created for us. As always, we thank Tapeworm for his massive amount of work on the TTS mod. So as a reminder, with the new rules on the Ashen Pass and in the game in general here, minions must start in their designated positions. As you see there, everyone kind of 3 and 3 surrounding the control zone. This does, of course, mean that Tilakali does not get a setup to defend all 3 minions with a single token pillar. But there could be some potential where you move a hero into that center hex and then use a safeguard. Now that the heroes have been selected, Zaraghul will be bringing the following cards. Some Call of the Pack, Presence, Sinkhole, and... Ooh, we have Guide. This is new. I forgot to mention or note this down earlier when I was reviewing the decks. So Tilakali brings 2 Guides. We might see this happen here. Could also just be used more likely for the 3 mana lead value that it brings. Although then that raises the question of why you might not pack something like a Chasm or an Ice Wall. Zaraghul does bring 2 Sinkholes to allow movement control, as well as Stone Barricades, Doom, and a single sacrifice. Nelaklin is going to bring Strength of the Pack, Crawling Darkness, Lords of the Many, and of course everyone's favorite Rampant Hatred. And Ishitask will bring Nourish, Crawling Darkness, Snowblind, and Ice Wall. So we won't see any safeguard shenanigans coming out of Zaraghul this game, but still plenty of options to overwhelm with either a control play or an aggressive play as well. On the other hand, the cards, or the heroes that Tofone has brought to the field, allows him to bring the following. Sathero supplies Psychic Vampirism, Migraines, and Nightmares Incarnates, a Soul Scream. Yami is going to bring Swiftnesses, Clear Minds, Wind Blasts, Unstoppable. Shafathi brings more Shatter Minds, another Psychic Vampirism, Dodge, Migraine, a Twister of Souls, and Hobrot brings Doom and Burning Rage as well. So we're just going through the mulligans stage here right now. We see that Zaraghul mulliganed off a Sinkhole. We saw Migraine mulliganed off of Tofone. I'm going to go ahead and check the discard real fast, make sure we didn't miss anything else. That looks to be everything we want there. Why is my inspect option not available? Okay, because it's only one item. That's why. And also just one Migraine there as well. So we'll go now return to the neutral state of the board. I'm going to zoom just slightly so that I have access to both of their discard. Guess I won't. We'll go to the discards if necessary. The only trouble about solo streaming is that sometimes when you want to look at information, you can't, because then everyone gets upset as you run the camera all over the place and it makes people nauseous. So I will endeavor to keep the camera there in neutral position and pay attention to the game. Also, hello, Tapeworm. I know that it's you now. So, with that being said, I believe we are ready to start the game here. So Zaraghul will have first activation here. He is going to start off with the Worship. Tilakali coming out first. No surprises there. Worship, summon that pillar down to protect 2 of your minions. At this point, it doesn't really matter, I think, where you position it, unless you're setting up for later plays, perhaps with Zaraghul. In which case, you might be more inclined to place it on the right side of your map. Perhaps I'm doing that. All right, never mind. We're not going to Worship just yet. We're going to move instead. Very good. So with Tilakali moving, I expect probably we're going to go into a bush potentially, as Tilakali wants to use her HP to protect minions rather than absorb direct attacks. And with Hobrot and Satheru on the field, direct damage is very much a thing. So now we're going to Worship. Okay, this makes sense. We summon the pillar down right there. So that's an interesting position. The possibilities there, you only protect 1 minion, so I'm wondering if he's preparing to use Zaraghul's ability to destroy the pillar and collapse will damage that minion. I'm wondering if that's what the setup is there. I can't think of why you would place the pillar there otherwise. Or because with Nellicling, it's kind of early in the game. We don't really need to Worship. Oh, the frame rate is choppy. Okay, let's see if I can adjust that. Dun, 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 dun. Let's see. Do we have anything here? All right. Maybe if we adjust this. All right. Hopefully this does some bit for the frame. I know it's not perfectly smooth, but hopefully we don't get a slideshow. I will keep an eye on the stream to watch. It will be slightly less, as I do have it frozen at max 30 FPS for this particular computer, just while I'm still trying to figure out a couple other things with it. But hopefully we don't have slideshow. As long as we avoid slideshow, that's what I'm after. All right, meanwhile, during my technological triaging, we noticed that Hobrot has worshipped, moved, and did something else here, but I'm not certain what that other something was. He didn't lead because we don't see... Oh, we do see a lead. Yes, we do. I was looking at Satheru's token. So, worship, move, and lead, looking like he's going to control the Silent Ambassador, or at least make a attempt for Dome number 2. It is better? Excellent. All right, so hopefully whatever I did fixed it. So in this situation now, Zaraghul has to decide, do I commit to fight for Dome number 2? Or do I make a play for Dome number 3? Because with these two particular outsiders, you definitely don't want to surrender both domes. The Silent Ambassador, being the first to activate, being in Dome number 2, is going to allow you to reposition a number of people, which could then set up for very easy Terror of the Endless Night combinations. And so you definitely want to make sure that your opponent does not get control of both. We see Nelliclin activating. Okay, what will Nelliclin do? So Nelliclin I see a lot often in reserve just because Nelliclin's extremely squishy. But with Hobrot having already activated, a lot of the potential threat to Nelliclin is over for this round. Of course, Yami and Satheru, both still capable of dishing out significant amounts of damage, but really Habarat's the only one that's going to run him down and potentially bring him within 3 or within kill range of the outsider. So it looks like Nelliclin is actually going in to oppose Habarat here. So we're going to worship, summoning a pillar on the outside. Of course, again, like marks, pillars no longer require line of sight. They just simply have to be within 3. So again, placing that pillar in a position such that it looks like we're going to possibly go for a collapse play, as it only protects 1 minion. And then we're going to lead from the deck. This forces a draw in Dome 2 as of right now. So Zaraghul is deciding that we're not going to just walk away and give up Dome number 2. So the question now for Tufan is, do I really want to have that particular outsider? Or do I just want to start working on controlling Dome 3 and forcing Zaraghul to finish his turn with Dome 3, or just surrender it? As Tilakali has not led... Oh, I'm sorry, she did lead. No, she did. Yes, she did lead. So, as it stands right now, something does need to be done in the lane. Otherwise, green is going to... The green squad, the Grenadiers, as Zaraghul has in the deck name, is going to send that control token right up against the tower. Not doing any damage during turn 1, but definitely creating a high pressure situation for turn number 2. With the hero he has on the field right now, it is possible for Tufone to move to skirmish and move through a minion to deal damage with them. But then in that case, Yami ends in the lane. You could, of course, then attack another minion or lead from the deck to kind of counterbalance Tilakali's aggression, or pressure, I should say, not necessarily aggression yet. There are a few quick shots. Nope, the quick shots were not in this game, so there will be no quick shots from Tufone in this particular matchup. So we'll see what he opts to do here with Yami. She does have fast on her now from the spell card, so this means we don't need to waste 2 actions, so it is possible that we run through the minions and then run into the dome. Or we place Stone Barricade. Okay, very good. So in this situation, placing the Stone Barricade there is going to allow him to defend any minion that Yami attempts to run through. Also sets up very nicely for Nelliclin plays later. Nelliclin is able to play through the stone pillar that he destroys during his worship action. So that is very effective for a later turn setup play. Yami is going to go through that particular minion there on our right. And we're going to go ahead and flip against the minion, I assume, because we can deal damage to Tilakali. Ooh, 0 on the flip means that 1 damage will be taken by Tilakali. There's absolutely no reason that you would not do that. Yami ending right here suggests that perhaps she attacks the minion. Oh, she's going to attack the pillar. Okay, this makes sense there. We're going to destroy the pillar. Obviously, we know that if we attack the minion, Tilakali proceeds to absorb that as well. Destroying this pillar there guarantees absolutely nothing in the minion control game. That minion is still protected by the pillar there. I'm not sure why we didn't attack the one that is to the left of Tilakali that was summoned by Stone Barricade, because that would at least open the center minion if we were looking to make the minions vulnerable. But we could be just looking to remove that pillar such that Zaraghul cannot do the collapse play I mentioned earlier. Looks like we're shifting there. 0 on the flip there. I like this flip. I like this play a little bit better because we're at least forcing Tilakali to take damage. I think that Tufone realized destroying that pillar doesn't really buy you any benefits there. Tilakali perfectly happy to sacrifice 3 HP to defend her minions twice. And we see a lead from the hand, which neutralizes any push effects in this particular lane. Right now we're looking at a 7-7 scenario here. So now Zaraghul goes. So in this situation, Yami has done a very good job, actually, of protecting Dome 3. The only way that Zaraghul gets to Dome 3 is with a skirmish move. Still worthwhile to do, in my opinion, because if you put her in the dome, if you put him in the dome there, you will guarantee that you tie Dome 2, and then if you lead in Dome 3 as well with a 3, you guarantee that we have a double push in the dome, Or you guarantee that you get Dome 3 as as Setheru goes into Dome 2 and overloads the victory there. So both of those are options then for Tufon as the second player. It depends on how Zaraghul responds here as the first player activating. So I think he's looks like we're going to collapse. That makes sense. Destroy this particular pillar here. We're going to reposition the pillar right there to protect minions and flip against that minion to generate a 1-point lead as of right now for Zaraghul. We see the guide flip there, dead minion, of course. The flip from the destroyed pillar is 1 plus the flip for a total of 2 damage. And, okay, that was just the minion we're bringing out. I thought we were doing something else. And so it looks like Zaraghul is going to force the commit into Dome 2. So now, with Setheru, Tufone can decide, are we going to split 1 and 1 on the outsider, or do I simply send Setheru in there and win the dome, or excuse me, and force 2 neutrals, 2 pushes? I guess it depends on how much Tufone is concerned about the Silent Ambassador. As the Terror of the Endless Night is not a bad prize with this particular team. Setheru and Habarat both would benefit from having a frenzy effect. Of course, given that the Silent Ambassador goes first, wherever the Silent Ambassador, wherever the Terror of the Endless Night spawns, the Silent Ambassador can proceed to wormhole any heroes that would receive a benefit from frenzy out of the way, so that Tufone is forced to waste activation points repositioning if he really wants that frenzy bonus. So let's see what he proceeds to do here with Setheru. Setheru could potentially also start attacking Tilakali, as she is within sight range here. So with a move, attack, skirmish against Tilakali, damage would be effective to reducing her HP and making it less likely that she's going to be able to absorb minion damage in round number 2. But instead, we're going to go ahead and attack the minion. Ultimately, I guess it really doesn't make too much of a difference here. Tilakali is likely to absorb the attack. With a +0, that's only going to be 3 damage. Oh, Zaraghul's actually going to sacrifice the minion. Interesting. Very good. So that's actually going to leave us with a neutral state lane. Oh, and down comes the Shattermind. Okay, so this is going to deal some piercing damage there to Tilakali. 3 damage piercing. So now that makes sense as to why he did not absorb the minion's attack. That would have put Tilakali at 7. And in range of a possible terror kill. So with the final skirmish action here, we're going to flip against Tilakali. +1 on the flip there with piercing damage brings her to 9. So had she absorbed that attack, that would put her at 6. Unlikely that, given the spawn conditions for the terror, that it kills her, but still nevertheless possible. With a move, attack, skirmish against Tilakali, if you really wanted to waste the Endless Night like that, Terror of the Endless Night, you could do it. But ultimately not going to be the case here. So as it stands, in lane 1, we are going to see a push here, as Yami led with a 3, Tilakali led with a 3. 2 minions apiece. We're just going to spawn more minions in the lane. Positioning here does matter. Particularly for Zaraghul, as he has a number of pillars around the field, wants to make sure that he can get as many of them protected by stone barricade as possible. And then on the converse side, or on the flip side there, the Tofone wants to make sure that he keeps as many minions away from the pillar as possible so that he can't have them flipped against from Zaraghul, but that's all right, I guess. He might also not want to block pathing, which is why he left that one open. So, with that being said, Habarat leads with a 3 there, and I didn't see what Zaraghul led with, but since he's grabbing the Terror of the Endless Night, the Silent Ambassador, it is going to be the case that we see the first of the Outsiders activating. So first, Silent Ambassador gets placed, followed by the Terror of the Endless Night getting placed, followed by the Silent Ambassador activating, followed by the Terror of the Endless Night activating now. This is going to be unbelievably confusing, as the Silent Ambassador and Nelicon look very, very similar. Zaraghul kind of deciding where to position during the dome. Of course, the Silent Ambassador must spawn adjacent to her dome. The Terror of the Endless Night must spawn in a cover hex. Interesting positioning here. Are we So with this positioning here, the Silent Ambassador can waylay or wail on Habarat, slowing him, attacking him, and whatever, while still keeping him safe from, while keeping Nelliklin safe from a potential assault from Habarat. So I actually like this positioning very much. With the Stone Storm effect, Habarat will be only able to take 3 actions unless there's another Swiftness card, Time Glitch, whatever the case may be. That would allow a move Skirmish to get to Nelliklin, but we'll see what happens. Terror of the Endless Night going to spawn right there. That makes perfect sense. I wonder, do you give Cytherea the Frenzy? We'll see how that works. Because right now it's time for the Silent Ambassador. So let's remind ourselves what all the Silent Ambassador can do. Wormhole, swap, I don't see that likely. Farsight, predict 2. Don't see that likely either. Stone Storm, place the AoE within 2, deal 1+ a flip, and apply slow. That seems very likely because Habarat then would not be able to get to Nelliklin, as I mentioned earlier. In addition, just a simple attack would deal 3+ a flip. Habarat does not have armor. And then finally, perhaps a Skirmish to add more damage to Habarat. That seems to be likely. Now, with the Silent Ambassador and the Terror, we're just going to remind our players, outsiders count as heroes now, everybody, which means they can be attacked, they can be killed, and they can count for the Tamer as well. So with the Tamer being one of our conditions here, if one of the outsiders defeats the other outsider, that still counts as a point. With 18 HP, 1 armor each, that seems unlikely unless we get some heavy AoE flying around. But nevertheless, that's okay. Alright, so we flipped here. Stone Storm dealing 1+ the flip and slowing Habarat there, meaning unlikely to run down Nelliklin. As it stands, I suspect the next action here might be the attack action. You're certainly not going to wormhole him. Are you? You are going to wormhole him. Okay, alright, you know what, I can take this. I can agree with this. You're still making it so that Nelliklin is far away from Habarat, and now Habarat's kind of trapped down there. And it also prevents Habarat from being able to run into the cover hex. So that's perfectly fine. Then I suspect the last option will be an attack, it looks like. Or maybe he indeed did use predict. Yeah, he did use predict. I can see the little eye down in the right corner. So I was right 1 out of 3. Amazing. 33%. If this was an exam, I would have flunked. So, what are we predicting for here? My guess is we're setting up for a potential turn 2 play here. Zaraghul does have the flex, so he might be looking for an early sinkhole if we need to trap Habarat down there in the dome. We might also be looking for a presence, perhaps, if we're going to force an objective somewhere. We might be looking for Rampant Hatred as well. Now, with Nelliklin on the field, turn 2, Rampant Hatred is a possibility. Meanwhile, we're going to go ahead and activate the Terror of the Endless Night. What we saw there was the, I forget what it's called exactly, the Dreadful Majesty, where you drag a target hero adjacent to them and apply Disarm. Tilakali was in line of sight of the Terror due to Yami's presence. So Tilakali will now be disarmed. I'm curious to see, do you just attack Tilakali and potentially put slow on her? Oh, the kneel before me flip, that's 6 damage, so definitely a good thing we did not absorb Shattermind. Otherwise, Tilakali, okay, never mind, that was a skirmish action. Okay, so we're going to do the skirmish, and then we're going to apply the frenzy, as I thought we might, to Cytherea. This makes more sense overall, because Cytherea, you get Frenzied Piercing, that's always very much effective. We're on to round number 2. We're just going to go ahead and clean up the board a little bit. Exciting round 1. I like it. 1 point each on Tactician. We need 6 total. Nobody died to the outsider. That's okay. There's still plenty of activations left. So, with that being said, who goes first? If Nelliklin goes first, I see it very likely that that means Zaraghul has a Rampant Hatred and that it's time to let Nelly run loose, which is arguably one of the best things in the game as a player to do, not necessarily as a player to receive. But Zaraghul is playing Skipping Stones with the active player token because it is important to remember our childhood. And remembering feelings of youth is very important to make sure, because as we know, age is simply just a number until you get old enough that the back pain reminds you that that's a lie. Take care of yourselves, everyone. Practice good health. Remember to stare out at something 20 feet away every 20 seconds. Every 20 minutes for 20 seconds in order to make sure that your eyes don't burn out from looking at the screen. Make sure also to do regular stretching. Keep your muscles nice and loose. Sitting in a chair all day is very bad for you. And continue to enjoy Skytear. It has been scientifically proven that enjoying Skytear for at least 1 hour a day boosts your mood by no less than 1%, often more. None of those statements that I've just made about Skytear have been validated by the FDA. Please do not take them as canon. We seem to be having a little bit of conversation here at this point, so this seems like a good time to discuss the upcoming card. As we've mentioned so far, our key hints about it that we're going to be revealing, our new card is a blue card, and it does involve distractions. So what else can I say about it other than that? Well, I would say that, hold on, we've got an activation. We'll put that on hold for now. Psych, got him. We are going to activate Nelliclin. Do we see the flux being popped? And here we go. So we are going to move. Okay. We are not going to Rampant Hatred against Habrot. That's unfortunate. That's all right, though. We may have something else in mind that's equally as devious. So Nelliclin comes out. Ah, Lord of the... Oh, no! Lord of the Many. Okay, excellent. So Lord of the Many allows us to gain skirmish damage based on every friendly minion in the line of sight. That means +4 skirmish damage to Nelliclin. So now, do we go after Yami? With a worship action here, Nelliclin could free up his mana, play the Rampant Hatred, and then proceed to absolutely brutalize Yami's HP bar, or even Habrot's, because with a double skirmish, you can pop in and out of that dome. So this is going to be very effective, regardless of who's about to be targeted here. Zaraghul is going to worship, so yep, here it comes. We're getting rid of a pillar, which means either another Lord of the Many or a Rampant Hatred, and I hope that it's Rampant Hatred, because there is nothing better than watching Nelliclin go off on a Rampant Hatred, especially after he's been boosted like this. Okay, so it is another Lord of the Many. Unfortunate, but that does give a +8 to Nelliclin's skirmish. So we are looking at 8 plus a flip piercing damage to some unfortunate soul. It is the only shame that we cannot get to Cytheru, because then we actually have a legitimate chance of just one-shotting him. So the question is, do we go for Yami? Or, nope, we're going after Habrot. Okay, so we're going to park ourselves right next to Habrot. That's perfectly fine. This is going to be 8 plus a flip to 10 damage to Habrot. That's going to drop him all the way down to 7 HP. That's amazing. So now, Nelliclin is able to flip a card here for an attack. Oh no, he's not. I lied, because those are 3 actions, and counting is very important. Math is very much a fundamental part of Skytear. So the trade-off here now is Nelliclin is kind of sitting right next to Habrot, which makes me wonder why we did the wormhole play, because we could have done everything we just did and attacked Habrot instead of wormholing. Like, literally everything we just did would have been equally as effective. Oh well. Thoughts for another day. So, in the meantime, what reaction cards do we have here against Habrot? Well, we have potentially Doom. That's not going to do a whole lot here, I don't think. We don't really have... Well, we do have Snowblind, but unfortunately Nelliclin's mana is maxed out, and Zaraghul cannot play Snowblind. So Habrot may choose to just start attacking Nelliclin on his activation. that seems to be the case. Although it looks like, based on the way that Tofon's hand is moving, it looks like we're considering activating Yami instead. So we may just say that Habrat is going to die, potentially, to Zaraghul, and bring in the reserve hero. That might be the plan here. Let's see, who are we activating? Yami. Okay, so it looks like we're just going to leave Habrat out to dry. Unlucky, but such is life. Yami is going to go ahead and move there. Tilakali does have line of sight to a pillar. Will she use the pillar to defend the minion? She's down to 7 HP. Satheru has a frenzy, which means that she's probably dead anyways. However, this requires 2 flips now to kill her, so we are just going to let the minion die. Otherwise, with a +3, Satheru might get her, or a 3, or an attack plus a magic card. That would also do it as well. Yami is now going to worship. So is she worshiping on Nelliclin, just potentially to do some more motion and a flip's worth of damage against him? That seems to be the case. Yep, so we're going to mark Nelliclin. I assume we're not marking the Silent Ambassador, even though that would be awesome. That doesn't make any sense. Okay, we are marking Nelliclin. Very good. Oh, and the +3 on the flip. That's huge. That brings him down to 11, which means, or down to 10, because there's a +1 on the flip. Excuse me. And so now, Habrat has a pretty good setup here. We have seen a number of +3s out of Tofon's deck, but with Habrat getting 4 plus the flip, if you potentially play this right and you have a magic card, we might be able to kill him off. Of course, there is also an option to just let to just let Habrat die and activate Satheru to kill Tilakali. So we'll see what happens here as a result. The final action was, of course, for Yami to lead. It was a lead from the deck, so we don't know exactly what that is, but given right now that we have four points for Zaraghul, and then we have 5+ for Tofone, he is winning the lane by default. So now the question here is, Zaraghul, are we going to kill Habrat before he kills Nelliclin and let Tilakali die, or do we try to save them both with some Saving Private Ryan kinds of stunts? No, we are going to activate Zaraghul, and we are going to pummel this poor assassin for stepping out of line. He needs more Skytear energy to become the Dark Vigilante, because right now he is stuck between a big guy and a 6-armed Voodoo Lord. So, with an attack and a skirmish, it is very likely that Habrat is going to meet his end. Let's see what happens. First on the attack here, 3 plus the flip. Unless there is a response. Aha! There is a response. Migraine is going to come out, so Migraine, I presume, will be on Nelliclin, because Nelliclin's almost dead. Although, I guess in this case, we could use this to disarm Zaraghul and save Habrat, actually, so we're not going to go for the instant kill here on Nelliclin. This actually makes plenty of sense. So, we are going to play Sacrifice. I'm sorry, we're going to flip Sacrifice, not play Sacrifice, excuse me. So that's going to deal 2 damage to Habrat. There are no direct damage cards from Zaraghul here that would allow a death. Clear Mind is on Akla, which was not brought this game, so there is no way of cleansing the spell. We are going to collapse the pillar and respawn it over somewhere. Perhaps right there, perhaps in the cover X, perhaps in here in the dome, because why not? In the cover hex. All right, so we can't target that pillar immediately. That will allow us to deal, and by us I of course mean Zaraghul, that will allow Zaraghul to deal 1 plus the flip and destroy a minion there, so that minion is now dead. We have attacked, we have worshipped, so the final action we are going to lead. So, in this situation, Nelliclin with 7 hit points potentially dies to an attack from Habrat, but most likely requires attack plus skirmish or attack plus power card. And with Nelliclin being inside the dome, Yami is not able to target him with anything. So therefore, the only option is just to have the skirmish go off, as the migraine was used. We are, however, going to summon the attack. Okay, so I did actually forget to include this. With that illusion being spawned there, Habarat's attack will do +1 to Nelliclin, making this actually fairly likely. This is going to be a 5 plus a flip here. So with a +2, Nelliclin will end up meeting his demise. Although we have seen a number of low flips from Tufon, as well as his +3s, but there it is. Psychic Vampirism and the flashback. So actually overkill, didn't even need the token there. No, that's Tilakali. I can't even read the tracker board. Goodness. I am so sorry, everyone. I'm looking at Takali and saying that that's Nelliclin's HP. Nelliclin is down to 2 hit points, and now can potentially die to this skirmish. Eventually, I'll get good enough to recognize, oh, and the +0 on the flip. You hate to see it. You would have liked to have seen, in this situation, Habarat's double flip actually was working against him. You would have liked to have seen that flip right there on the skirmish have been the second flip for Habarat, or if Habarat would have only flipped 1 card, that would have allowed Nelliclin to have died. But as it stands, Nelliclin will survive with 2 HP. That's going to be the end of turn there. So now, in this situation, Zaraghul is guaranteed to win Dome number 2. Unless Satheru moves, skirmishes... no, actually, without a fast, Zaraghul is fine because Satheru cannot make it into the dome without a fast. And with a frenzy, you would still have to move and skirmish and then lead. So that would basically waste the frenzy. So Zaraghul pretty much confirmed to get control of the Silent Ambassador. Unfortunately, Tilakali now is probably dead. Satheru has 2 attacks lined up after this, so she's going to maneuver her way now, potentially making things a little bit more difficult for Satheru to come and get her, maybe. Worship will allow her to heal, though, so with a good flip on this, it might actually be possible to survive the Satheru Frenzy assassination attempt. Most people know that Takali's most annoying feature is her ability to protect minions from damage at the expense of her life, but when she destroys pillars, she is allowed to flip to heal HP, and she's going to get +2 back, so she has 9 HP, so actually not too bad in this situation. So double attack gives us 6 +2 flips there. That is potentially enough to kill her, but it's likely that there will have to be a committed, the third action obviously being the skirmish there, so we won't be able to, or the move, whichever is more appropriate here. So with that, it does seem that we're going to have to make a full-bodied commitment in order to kill off Tilakali. Satheru, obviously the last hero of the round to activate here in this situation. The assassination against Tilakali seems almost certain, although as one important thing here, oh! And here comes the Snowblind. So this actually guarantees that Tilakali survives. Snowblind does give disarm in that 5-cone AoE that you just saw. So even with the piercing damage from Satheru, even with the frenzy from Satheru, 9 damage is a very tall order, even with skirmish double attack. With some power cards here, if there's a Shattermind, maybe with some high flips, that's skirmish is going to mean no good. We're going to now, I assume, burn 2 attacks. Nothing there, so that's going to be 2 damage to Tilakali there. Brings her down to 7. We see the flip for Unstoppable. That's going to be 3 damage. That'll bring her down to 4 now. Or I'm sorry, down to 5. As that would cut the damage down to 2 from the disarm. So now Satheru has to decide, does he move back and reclaim the dome? Or does he stay to influence the lane? If he influences the lane, Tilakali has a lead from Dex, same as Yami. So potentially a push, or one person wins the other. So we are going to play a Nightmare Incarnate. Do we target Tilakali here and set her up for destruction? Yes, we do. That brings her down to 2 hit points. Now, Yami does have 2 mana here, and Tilakali is in range, but Migraine, I think, is the last card he would have. That's not going to be enough to kill Tilakali, as Yami does not do piercing. Cytheru is going to move back in the dome and control Terror of the Endless Night. But with the Silent Ambassador being brought to the field and activated first, it is possible that if he wishes, Zaraghul can warp Tilakali out of danger. Oh, Yami is going to play the Nightmare Incarnate card and destroy a minion. This will significantly swing the chances of Control Zone 1, the lane going in Tofone's favor here. They both did lead from the deck, so we don't know exactly what's coming out from either Yami or Tilakali at this time. However, let's see what we have. Tilakali has a 2. Oh, Yami leads with a 1. So in this situation, that was actually very necessary to force the push in this situation. So, more minions in the middle. Where is that Lord of the Many now? Although I guess in this situation we do only have 2 minions for Zaraghul, so it would be back to another +4, but that was still amazing. Lord of the Many for Tofone obviously can't be played, as his deck is purely red-yellow, and Lord of the Many is neither of those colors. This would be a nice time for a Strength of the Pact attack, however. That would deal quite a lot of damage, and cough cough hint hint, Nelliclin brings 2 of them. We might be able to see some substantial damage to Yami, as that would be, looks like 7 damage to her. With the Silent Ambassador, now this is very key. With the Silent Ambassador, you can kill Habarat, but it's going to involve some risk on the flips. He does have 5 HP, so you do need good flips there. Wormhole would allow you to exchange Zakol with Tilakali. You do not need to target the second hero in order to activate it. I don't know why you're moving your... No, you have a perfect barricade against Yami. Although I guess if Habarat's about to die, Yami just teleports inside the dome anyways, using her worship action. So that's kind of a moot point. Let's see where we position. I think leaving him there still is potentially the better option, as it does force Yami into one spot. Alright. We're going to spawn there. Let's see where we spawn the Terror of the Endless Night, or are we just going to leave Terror of the Endless Night in that particular position? Nope. We're still moving this Silent Ambassador around. Positioning him right there. So, nope. Alright, we are leaving him right there. Alright, very good then. Now it's time for the Terror of the Endless Night to activate. And where is he going to? So, I think that potentially the root... Well, no, because Zakol would be able to see the Terror anyways from that position if he tried to spawn him on top of that pillar. Alright. Looks like we're just going to leave the Terror there. So, first action is attack. If we flip a +2, this is a dead Habarat. Let's see what we have here. Show me +2. Maybe? Maybe not. Seems to be some debate about the play. Okay, there we go. All right, back to killing. All right. Habarat has been targeted by the Silent Ambassador. This will be 3 plus the card flip on the damage. What do we have? Show me flipping. I think we might be worried about potential positioning here, which isn't relevant for this particular attack. Ah, okay, so we're going to be working on the Terror's spawn point still. Are we spawning the Terror in the cover hex in the dome? That seems to be what we're going for. Or are we spawning it outside so that we can just go and kill Tilakali? Or potentially Frenzy, activate Nelliclin. Excuse me, Frenzy on Yami, activate and kill Nelliclin. Nelliclin is spinning around like a top for reasons that I don't know. Oh, yeah, so, nope. Are we satisfied here? So, I'm just trying to find good points to take away here because, you know, similar to the new card, downtime just kind of really takes away from the stream, and we don't want to do that. We always like to have constant engaged content and action. So we try to find our best to fill out these times when the players are thinking. So we are into the action now. We do see the attack there. 3 damage to Habarat, which means that he's going to go down to 2 HP. Or maybe we were just cleaning... Oh, that might be cleaning up of cards. Okay, now we're flipping the cards, so that's 4 damage. So Habarat goes down to 1 hit point. And so now I predict that we should see the Stone Storm, which allows you to slow Yami and kill Habarat simultaneously. Or this. For reasons that I'm not sure of. Because it only applies to enemy heroes. There you go. Okay. Also, I'm not certain if you're allowed to target out of bounds. +0 on the flip, so Yami won't take any damage, but that's not who we're interested in. We're interested in killing off Habarat. So Habarat is going to die. That's going to be 1 point on the Tamer for Zaraghul. And we are going to immediately summon Shafathi there into the dome. So now, Tofone needs to be careful. If one more hero dies to one of the outsiders, and again, it does not have to be the same outsider, then that will result in Zaraghul's victory. Habarat's illusion also gone because when you die, so does your illusion. Let's see what the final action is. Again, I suspect that we might see a wormhole. If you wormhole Zaraghul with Tilakali, it makes her slightly harder to kill. Although with this positioning, you would still have to move and then attack. So I guess ultimately, if you're going to use the terror to kill her, then it doesn't make a difference because 2 actions will get you within range in either case. Potentially what you could do is... Did he predict again? I think he must have predicted. I have to assume he predicted. Nope, we are swapping. Okay, this makes perfect sense overall because putting Tilakali into the dome, Zaraghul into the... Oh, no. Okay, so that was the Terror's effect. Okay, so he must have predicted then with the Silent Ambassador. So, Terror's first effect was the Dreadful Majesty. We're going to grab Tilakali, drag her in here over into the dome. Now, you may be asking, why not just bring her outside if we're going to proceed to follow her in like this with the skirmish action? The reason is because now we could have, if we would have killed her potentially on that flip, then we could have used Nightmarish Roar to slow both her and Zaraghul, or slow Zaraghul and Nelliclin, depending on how you want to position that. So, with both of those two at low HP, actually, now both Tilakali and Nelliclin are both low. It doesn't matter that I can't read the tokens because they both have 2 hit points. The Terror can kill one, and then Yami can just worship and kill the other. So we see in this case a +2, which means Tilakali dies. Point for Tofone on the Tamer, so now Zaraghul needs to be careful. Because Nelliclin is about to die on the first activation. We have seen Kneel Before Me as a flip, so we won't be seeing instant destruction there from Yami. Or a reaction kill from Yami, rather, I should say. However, Nelliclin is not in a good spot. There are a couple heals. There's some sacrifices and nourishes, courtesy... actually, no. There is no more sacrifice cards in the deck for Zaraghul. There is, however, nourish cards available. So we might see some of that to save Nelliclin. Nelliclin is going to... okay, we're just discarding there. So, let's see what we do this round. So this kill score is 1-1. Both of those were done by the Tamer. Nelliclin, very much about to die here. Everybody else essentially at full hit points. Ishitosk, not exactly the biggest killer that you've ever seen. So in this situation, I just don't see how you protect Nelliclin from Yami. Her ability now that she can worship within 3 guarantees, no matter what you do with him, that she'll be able to target him with that ability. And so I feel like you just activate Nelliclin now because he's guaranteed to die unless you want to try and double nourish or something like that. That's the only way I can see this resulting in his survival. And even then, that's going to be flip dependent because Yami could possibly bring him down if she has more Shatter Minds or Nightmares Incarnates. We are in round 3 as it stands, however, so seems we are having some discussion here. Always interesting to think about what the players might be saying as you watch the hands kind of dance over the field and passing over certain heroes and certain trajectories, thinking about, is it the line of sight question? Is it, can I kill this hero? As we mentioned before, math is very, very important to Skytear. Can't win the game without it. Many, many games have been lost and won by a difference of 1 on the counts, so very important to see. Looks like Zaraghul is ready to activate now, so that means I think we can go ahead and move the tracker up to round numero trace. Now, if there is a Rampant Hatred card in the play, then I think Nelliclin does get one final hurrah off, because Yami does not have line of sight to Nelliclin, and so therefore, as a result, could at least do something before she attempts to react and kill him. I don't believe we've seen Consulting the Heart for Nelliclin, so it is possible to use that. But I really want to see some sort of a Nourish play come down, because otherwise Nelliclin, I think, just kind of bites the dust here. In addition to that, we do see that Yami is slowed, so she's not really going very far. Not much else to do with her other than kill the almost already dead mage. She can't get through minions. In this positioning, she would have to skirmish, and then move she could if she wanted to get a little bit deeper. She would have to move both skirmish and move, though. With Zaraghul there, if she finishes directly on the perimeter line, Zaraghul is simply going to attack her and then punch her right out of the dome, back into the lane. So she would have to burn both skirmish and move. Okay, so there we go. Nelliclin is going to activate. There's the Rampant Hatred as we suspected. So now you get to take a free skirmish action as a result of this. You also have +2 on the skirmish as a result of being in line of sight. Remember that outsiders are no longer friendly after their activation. They are considered enemy heroes at this point to both players, which means Nelliclin only gains the bonus for himself and Zaraghul. So we're going to move. Interesting. So it looks like we don't have a second Rampant Hatred. Otherwise, I would have left Nelliclin back at the dome in order to protect from Yami. So we're going to flip that there. We have a +5 total damage for the skirmish there. So Yami is going to drop to 13. I expect now to probably see the worship action here, clear off Nelliclin's mana and do something else. That's probably Nelliclin's biggest asset, is his ability to essentially have double mana every round from the worship action. In addition, of course, to, yep, there's the worship. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to burn a pillar, we're going to summon a new pillar. Nelliclin is going to get 3 mana back. Does he have a second Rampant Hatred, I wonder? No, but see, this is why you left Nelliclin in the dome, because of this kind of play right here. Goes on the stack, Nightmare Incarnate, we're going to kill Nelliclin, and so therefore, that turn is over. Had you put Nelliclin back in the dome, you would still have access to a pillar to worship to. You could still do whatever shenanigans you were wanting to, because you still have a skirmish and a move action, but instead, Nelliclin bites the dust. Does not count for Tamer, of course, because Yami is not an outsider, at least not yet. There may be weird and wild and wonderful things that can happen in a future expansion. We can only hope. But Zaraghul is now down to 2 heroes. And that ends the activation as well. It's now time for Tofone to activate. So Yami could go, or Skytear could go. In this situation, let's see. Honestly, I think you just set up and kill somebody. This would be probably the easiest thing. You guarantee that you can win double domes at this point. With a 2 to 3 hero advantage, you are assured of double dome if you place it correctly. Yami will move. That, of course, means you will have to disregard the lane in order to do that. So Yami is going to move through this particular minion. There is no Tilakali to protect it anymore. That is a very dead minion. Yami will then attack another minion, I presume, and then probably finish with a skirmish into the dome. Oh, and the flashback. Unfortunate. Not where you want to see that happen. But, nevertheless, still, very dead minion. The final action, I presume... Okay, so we'll be a lead. All right, never mind. We're going for the lead in the lane play. All right, so we're going to go and try to force some pressure in the middle there. Tactician is sitting at 2-2 right now, of course, so no player is able to win via Tactician this game, or excuse me, this round, but it could potentially be game in round number 4. Zaraghul in a bit of a pickle at this point. Neither hero is particularly weak. Excuse me, none of the heroes. There are 3 for Tofone. Yami does have 13, Skytear has 14, but Skytear is all the way across the map, and Yami is now out of range as well. So it's very difficult for Zaraghul to set up for another Tamer kill. I think at this point that's his best bet, is a Tamer kill victory. He already has 1 point. We know that both the Silent Ambassador and the Terror of the Endless Night are very good at killing people. But I'm just not sure how we can set that up, knowing the cards that we have. Now, if we do have Totemic Slam, Zaraghul, goodness, if I could pronounce that, that would be excellent, would be wonderful. So with Totemic Slam, we can push somebody 4 hexes, and if they end next to a pillar, we can then deal an additional 2 plus a flip. If we can deal that damage to Skytear, that's going to be a substantial amount of damage on him, and then potentially set up for an outsider kill. Yami, probably not so much. Yami will have a little bit easier time absorbing that, since it is 2 separate instances of damage. Yami's armor would come into play both, reducing that to 3 and 1 plus the flip, respectively. So I think in this situation, Ishitosk is the more likely activation choice, just because that way you can see potentially what Skytear hopes to do, or you can see that Shafathi is going to come and contest you in the second dome, and then you just proceed to eject him using the passive of Zaraghul when he's in line of sight of a pillar. Zaraghul is going to need to take his time and think about this. He doesn't want to have any distractions from this particular activation, as that would result in an issue for his strategy to win the game. I just thought about that sentence as it came out of my mouth and realized how ridiculous it sounds. I apologize. To make it up for you, let's go ahead and just drop some straight up information rather than obscure references to the card that we're going to be spoiling this weekend, like I have made throughout this cast so far. Let's just give some straight up information. As we've mentioned, it is a blue card, and let's include the fact that it is a 3 mana card. So, very exciting. It is a very expensive card. It is useful for a lead card, but given the effect that it has, which we're not going to reveal just yet because I'm that kind of a person. The effect is most certainly, in my opinion, worth 3 mana. We'll just say that. What is that effect? Well, you'll have to wait and tune in this weekend to the in-person qualifiers coming to us live from Genova, Italy. Myself and potentially a group of people, if I can rustle anybody else up to cast at that time, we will be bringing you some in-person Skytear action, as we did 2 weeks ago. All right, so Zaraghul is activating instead, so not going to wait to see what Shafathi does. Attack the minion, destroy the minion. Interesting that we did that there, although I guess we can now collapse the pillar, perhaps, and destroy another minion as a result. He is going to skirmish. So, okay, and Shafathi then goes ahead and plays Doom. So we are going to Doom Zaraghul. Interesting play there. This is going to prevent any sinkholes from coming out. Actually, no, it won't if Zaraghul flips a low value, given that Zaraghul still has the flux. All right, so Stone Barricade was the sacrifice there for that. That means that Zaraghul can still potentially have 3 mana, which means Sinkhole is still an option to keep Shafathi out of the dome. If Zaraghul goes back into dome number 2 with this skirmish action. Zaraghul is still activated right now. He hasn't been exhausted, so I think he's considered... Okay, we're going after Shafathi. +2 on the flip there. That is 2 damage. All right, so 16. So the problem here is you've now given him double dome. Guaranteed. Shafathi can just skirmish, worship, move, or skirmish attack, move, guarantees he gets dome 2. Obviously, again, this does not include the fact that a sinkhole might be lying in wait. And then Satheru can literally just end his turn and do nothing. Again, obviously, if we may want to move Satheru back to the back row to prevent any possible sinkhole dragouts. But at this point, well, I guess to be fair, Ixotosk has not activated yet. So Ixotosk could protect one of the domes. But you guarantee at least 1 dome on the play. So, let's see how this works out. So Shafathi is going to be the one to activate here. We have seen Shafathi's ultimate flashback use, so we know we aren't going to get any surprise plays there. Satheru will be the one to activate. All right. We're going to skirmish against Zaraghul, I assume. +1 on the flip there. Zaraghul takes 1 point of damage, brings him down to 16. And do you then choose to move with the skirmish and then move your way into the dome? Perhaps. That seems to be the likely case. In this situation, if he has 2 sinkholes... Alright, so we're going to play a Migraine card first. That's going to deal 4 damage, bringing him down to 12 hit points. So if there are 2... Oh, you're playing Unstoppable. Okay, yeah. We do not have Frenzy this turn. That was the previous round. So this is going to allow for a double attack against Zaraghul, so that's going to do a fair amount of damage, actually. 6+ double flips here, unless there is a response. Greetings, Brian. Oh, that is not what you want to see on the flip. All right. Hello there, Brian. Good to see you. So Zaraghul is going to eat a massive 6 points of damage from the first attack. We still have the second attack now. Or we're just going to... Okay, so you may be asking what he's doing right now. That is Satheru's movement ability that he gets whenever he damages an enemy hero. No, that's not it. I'm sorry. What am I saying? That's not it. That's a totally different hero. That's not what we're thinking about at all. That's Habarat's hero, and Habarat is dead. So in that case, we are just going to move back into the dome. Why didn't he use the I must have made a mistake there somehow. We seem to have missed the second attack. Or he just didn't use it. Which is interesting. Okay. Well, anywho. That being said, Ixotosk is the last activation for Zaraghul. So in this situation, if there is a sinkhole in hand, and that seems very, very likely at this point, you can skirmish move worship with Ixotosk and guarantee that you get Dome 3. That doesn't seem to be the case, though, because we're attacking a minion here. And now I assume that you move into the dome to contest against Satheru because you have a sinkhole that Nope, I'm wrong again. Excellent. If there's anyone keeping track of how many times I've been wrong this game, have we created a bingo yet? I think we're going to set up a bingo card that we can play whenever Commander casts. The center can be whenever I say in this situation. I know I say that a lot. So that would be our free space. We can then mark off places where Commander makes wrong predictions, and I'm pretty sure everyone has full card bingo by the end of turn number 2. So, with this situation here, there it goes again, we see that Zaraghul is going to match Yami, potentially exceed her, as Ishitosk's lead was from hand versus deck. Satheru is staying in the dome there, did not lead. Safathi is going to attack Zaraghul, or attack Zaraghul, excuse me. I guess technically speaking, still attacking Zaraghul by the transitive property. And Zaraghul is going to bring out the Crawling Darkness. So Crawling Darkness is going to apply a disarm, and a slow, actually, with that effect there. So that means that we're going to A, see that Zaraghul survives, and B, not see Double Dome. So we'll also cross that off as another wrong prediction that I had from earlier as well. Shafathi will be able to play Shattermind, however, here, of course, and deal some additional damage. The skirmish action will potentially kill if there is a plus anything on the flip here. But, oh, wait a minute. Nope, that illusion is in place. Once we skirmish, you will be able to swap with your illusion. Never mind, I did not see the illusion's positioning. And so now we do swap, so there is Double Dome right there. All right, so with that being said, it is likely that Zaraghul wins control of lane 1 and then just loses the game to Tamer, as if the Silent Ambassador, who statistically actually cannot fail to kill Zaraghul, does not for some reason kill Zaraghul if she attempts to, then certainly the Terror of the Endless Night cleans up. So we are going to resolve the lane here, so Zaraghul does win the lane, advances the token by 1, and now the Pain Train is going to depart the station. Silent Ambassador comes in. Even though Zaraghul does have +1 armor, there are no -1s in the deck here for Tofone, which means that a flip at worst does a +0 or 3 damage, less Zaraghul's armor of 1, guarantees the 2 damage necessary to kill him. Oh, and we're just piling those there because it doesn't matter. Tofone. Where are we moving Zaraghul? The only place we're moving Zaraghul is into the dumpster graveyard. Okay, there we go. And so therefore, as we've done, victory by the Tamer. Good game, Tofone. Let's go ahead and jump into the channel and talk with them for a little bit.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Nice.
Good game, guys. That was fun.
Yeah.
Thanks, Commander.
Nice
First,
game. Thank you.
yeah, so congrats to Tofone here. Playing consequently to winning by the Tamer. Cool.
Yeah.
So my first miss, I think, was taking the Silent Ambassador away.
Mm-hmm.
So you could enter here with the Terror of Lane.
And attack Nellican.
Yeah, you nearly did a double kill.
Yeah, if I swap the actions around, if I attacked before and then skirmished, I would have won right there.
I didn't have any chance to really use the Skytear Flux, so that was a dead card for me.
Yeah.
I had with Nellican, I had Consulting the Heart in hand then in the end, and
But he died in response.
yeah,
to
he died in response, so didn't help me. So maybe I could have used it first to search one of the Rampant Hatreds I had in deck, and then use the Rampant Hatred I searched for, so that I still could use the Rampant Hatred in my hand afterwards with another hero. And it was a very good play from you to doom my Zaraghul, so he couldn't use his ultimate.
Yeah, I was
I had on
expecting
hand as
that.
well.
And I thought that it seemed to me that you were not playing the 0 mana cards. So
That's true.
you even if you had the flux, you couldn't
Yes.
play it anyway.
Yeah.
Also,
There
just to be
was
sure,
the-
I had 2 more dooms in hand just in case you wanted
Perfect.
to play some
Yeah.
cards.
Yeah, that's perfect. The silent ambassador was placed here, so I was assuming that you would swap or get into here with Shafati, and I wanted to
Avoid that,
skirmish,
of course.
skirmish here inside and wait for you to get into the dome to just kick you out. So this didn't work, but yeah.
So one question that I had, if we rewind a little bit, after Nelliclin survived the assassination attempt down here, when you had the skirmish action with the Rampant Hatred, why didn't you move him back into the dome? Because you still had line of sight to a pillar there, and you could have used the pillar there to worship and clean off the mana without Yami blasting him, and then let you do...
Yeah, whatever pillar. Yeah, that's true. So I can use whatever pillar on the board. That's true, and I would have evaded the line of sight by Yami. I think I was a bit focused on using Ishatosk, maybe for Taxium, Nelaclan elsewhere on the board.
Okay.
To just do some confusion afterwards if he could survive, maybe.
Gotcha.
So Nelaclan would have moved here and around the other side, maybe, or somewhere here, and yeah. So this didn't work. So that's the better play, to just move out, deal the damage, move back, get the next Rampant Hatred to the ultimate, do it again, do another skirmish. So that's 3 skirmishes.
You can't see me.
Yeah, you can't see me, but I'm here. I'm dealing damage, but you can't see me. Yeah, that's true. That would have been way better.
I will say though, I really, really did appreciate the double Lords of the Many play. That was awesome.
Yeah, that was really strong.
Yeah, it was so funny that I did the predict 2 with the silent ambassador, and I saw, oh man, that's Lord of the Many 2 times. Yeah, I'm going to pick those cards.
Absolutely.
And you had a look at my deck, Commander, so you know that I named Nelaclan the One Punch Man.
Yes, I did see that.
Yeah, that's what Nelaclan does. You know, just play spell and worship people with Rampant Hatreds and skirmishes.
I was
expecting that. I could have Nightmares Incarnated one of the minions to decrease your damage, but in the end I chose to keep it, and it helped me kill him in the end.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you had the card in hand, and I made the mistake to stay in line of sight. Yeah.
I was hoping to see the double strength of the Pact come out there as well. I suspected that Yami was looking to kill somehow there, but if she didn't, I was hoping double strength of the Pact would come out, because I think there was like 7 minions that were able to be within her line of sight, so that would have been awesome.
I was really afraid of that.
Only flipped them.
Yeah.
One was here in the deck still to draw, but yeah. So I think you had more control of the board in the end. And Terror of the Endless Night is really, really helpful in terms of getting points on the Tamer, for example, and prepare for the Tamer, let's say.
Kind of. Yeah. I mean, he's not the most damaging outsider. He just has just have the attack. I mean,
yes. What I mean is, you help the heroes.
Of course.
To slow the enemy hero, to deal a disarm, to give a frenzy to one of your friendly heroes. So this really helps, I think, in preparation for things like double kill or helping with onslaught or whatever. So it's a good choice, I think, in this constellation. But I'm still sticking to Silent Ambassador because of the the predict can be very helpful, and the wormhole as well can be very helpful, because you, on a small map like Ashen Pass, you just swap heroes around, and it's get some crazy things like putting someone in a corner.
Oh yeah, just a question I had for you, because you know, when I said, you know, I'm dumb and stuff, because I placed Yami here with a lead on, and I was expecting you to go to her with your Zaraghul and just push her out of the central line of sight. because this was on here, and I was just expecting him to move, attack, and I would have lost lead mid, but on the middle lane. But
Yeah, it was
I
the
mean,
situation, right?
you
So
chose
I
to
could've- Yeah.
you chose to attack my Aburat to kill him, which is
Mm.
you still got a point on the tamer thanks to that.
In the end, wasn't as helpful, maybe. Yeah, didn't even see that possibility. Yeah. GG.
Gee, I'm going to quickly make the report and go because my time is running short.
All right.
Okay.
Well, congratulations, Tufone. You'll be moving on to the next round of the playoffs. We will look forward to when that is scheduled, and hopefully we will bring that game to everyone is live as well. And
Yeah,
also, of course,
thank you, Commander, for your casting. Thank you,
Of
Zara,
course, my pleasure.
for the really nice game. And
You're welcome.
Yep, and of course,
I'll see
congrats
you.
to you as well for making playoffs, Zaraghul. It was a pleasure to have you on stream as always.
Thanks again.
All right. Bye, guys. Thank you again.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. All right, well then, I think that's about going to wrap it up for us here. Thank you very much, everyone who has joined us, whether live or in person. Remember that, again, we will be doing some live stream of the Genova in-person qualifier this weekend using the kind of same setup that we did before. So that'll probably kick off, I believe, around 8 or 9 p.m. Eastern time, which is GMT -4. Please feel free to do your own time zone conversions because we all know I'm terrible at those. We will finish spoiling the rest of the card at that time, including the image. And